started on making the cake. Now for this recipe I am going to use 165 grams of caster sugar, and also I'm going to use about 180 grams of flour, self-raising flour, and I have 175 grams of butter. I've got here 50 grams. I've got 50 grams of some whole walnuts, and I'm going to use about 3 eggs. Now if you've got large eggs, use 3 eggs, otherwise if they're medium like these, I'll use 4. So let's get started. Now I'm going to put everything into my mixer here. Now this is a recipe that my mum used to make when we were little. I grew up eating a lot of coffee and walnut cake, and it is one of my all-time favourites. So I'm just going to break some eggs. The great thing about this recipe is that you can put everything into the bowl and then you can just whisk it all up together. Now I'm going to put 4 in because they're quite small eggs. There we go. And then I'm going to add the caster sugar. There we go. I'm also just going to quickly sieve my flour. Now, you don't have to worry about putting everything into an order with this cake. It just all goes in. It's really an easy cake. It's not a fussy cake to make, and that's why I love it, because it's just quick and easy and yummy. So there we go. Now I'm going to put the butter. There we go. Here we are. And I just will pop that here. But this is a good way. Right, now I have finely chopped these walnuts because sometimes I leave them a bit chunkier, but the children prefer it when the nuts aren't quite so big. So what I'm going to do, just mix up some ingredients. Now obviously to make the coffee flavour, because what this cake is, the cake that I'm actually making is a very basic sponge cake. So you could do just like a vanilla cake for a Victoria sponge, or you could turn it into a chocolate cake. You could do any cake you want with it really. But to make the coffee, I'm going to use some instant coffee, and you could use filtered coffee if you prefer. So I'm just going to put 2 teaspoons. There you go, that's enough. Using some Carte Noir instant coffee, and just going to dilute that with some water. All right, there we go. So just made a kind of small espresso here, and I will just slowly add this into the mixture. Now I'm just going to add these little nuts. So they are quite finely done. Put those in. looking quite good. So that's how I want it to be. Just a nice silky consistency. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to pop that there for a moment. I'm going to butter the tin, and I'm using about a 12-inch, so yeah, 12-inch tin, about 28-centimetre tin. So now the tin is ready. I'm just going to pop the mixture into the baking tin. Better give it a try and make sure it's all correct. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, I have preheated the oven at 180 degrees. So if you have a fan assisted oven, maybe 160 probably be quite good. Yeah, so I've put one on 180 because that works really well. And I'm just going to pop the mixture into the oven for about, I would say for about 40 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repeat the whole sponge recipe again. So I'm going to make 2 sponges and then I'm going to sandwich them together. So that second sponge is ready to go. So as soon as the one in the oven is ready, I'll just take that one out to cool and pop that one in. Right, okay, so the 40 minutes is now up and it is just smelling so lovely in the house now. It's just so delicious. I have actually just taken the first sponge out and it's looking really good. So it's just right. So I'm just going to take it out. Yeah, right. But I've just put the sponge onto this, just a cooling, something to cool down onto. And you want a gap underneath your sponge when it's cooling down because otherwise it gets soggy. Now, here is the next mix here going in to the tin. Okay, so in goes the second sponge. Okay, and that is going in for 40 minutes as well. And then I will take it out to cool as well. And then we start icing it and getting the buttercream filling, and then we're going to give it a try. Okay, so it's been 40 minutes, so I'm just going to check on the second sponge to see if it's ready to come out. Right, so the sponge is ready, and I need to get that now out the tin and onto the cooling tray. And the other sponge has actually cooled quite well now, so that's nearly ready. That has been cooling very nicely, and I'm very pleased with that. That's looking really how I wanted it to be. Now, whilst that sponge is cooling down, I'm going to make the filling, the buttercream filling. And I've measured out here 300 grams of icing sugar. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sieve this icing sugar through. I'm just going to sieve through half of the 300 grams. So I'm going to put 150 grams in here. And then I'm going to add the butter. I'm going to start adding the butter, and I'm going to just do it slowly, just bit by bit. So in it goes here, 50 grams, about that. Now, once the butter starts to look like it's starting to really mix in well with the icing sugar, and it starts to nearly make like a paste, but not quite, but it's making bigger kind of ball shapes, it means it's ready for you to put, either you could put some water, some milk, but I have made up some more coffee essence here with the instant coffee. And I'm just going to add about a tablespoon into the icing sugar and mix that again. So I bake a lot with ice, so if it doesn't look quite right, then I just keep going a little bit longer until it's giving me what I need. But I have to be very gentle with the buttercream because I don't want to split it. But there we are. This is what I go for. It's got to be smooth and creamy. But I mean, I've always loved baking. I grew up baking with my nan when I was little. I used to go and stay with her every weekend, nearly, and a few days during every holiday. I used to go and stay with her, and she loved baking and cakes and just cooking in general. Spent a lot of time in her kitchen, just about being able to stand just a tiny tot, and she'd put my apron on and I'd stand on a stool, and we would make short crust pastries together. She'd show me how to make scones and biscuits and chocolate cakes, and she would make chocolate goo cake, or chocolate gunge cake is what she used to call it. I will have to make one of those and show you. It's just the most chocolatey cake. And you know, I just do have a passion for cooking, and I do follow Mary Berry's recipes as well, because they do remind me a lot of my nan's cooking, and like a lot of people, she represents all of our nans. So there we go. So I'm just going to turn this one upside down like this, and I am going to put some strawberry jam. And to finish off, I've just put some walnuts going around the cake. that rugged little rustic feel to it, but that's because it's true homemade and I think it looks awesome. So, I mean, it just takes me right back to my childhood, and that's what I love about cooking, is that it can take you back to places that are somewhere stored in your memory, and you can remember the smells, you can remember what was going on around you, and it just takes you right back in time. And this is one of them, and I love reproducing that every time. Okay, so everyone's really looking forward to trying some cake. So I'm going to cut some up and serve some up, and then I can show you also what it looks like inside. It's still a little bit warm, but I mean, it's so moist. It's lovely. It's a lovely sponge. Very happy with that. And I love that buttercream that just takes you back to like when your nan or your mum made you a cake. Oh my god, that is so lovely. Yeah. Okay. It's just the perfect cake. And I love walnuts and coffee. So what a good combination that is. So thank you so much. I've really enjoyed sharing this with you today, and I hope you've enjoyed it as well. And this is my mum's cake, so this is it. And it really does remind me of Mary Berry's recipes. I know I go on about Mary Berry, but I love her. But I do love my mum, and she has great recipes, and this one is a winner. But I hope you've all enjoyed the video, and thank you to all my subscribers at the moment. They have been coming in, and I really, you know, that just really makes me feel like I'm on the right tracks. I hope that you enjoy the next video, and don't forget also to just give me a little thumbs up, because that lets me know that you've been enjoying what I do. Okay, so I'm gonna go and give everybody their bit of cake that they're waiting for, and they've been very, very patient waiting for the cake. I really hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, the rest of your day or your morning, wherever you are. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I will see you very, very soon with some more recipes and exploring. Take care everybody, and have a good evening.